Looking at how you went from the one vortex, the dark vortex, to the light vortex, and you cracked the anxiety code. Let's say you cracked it. I'm just going to assume you cracked it. What were your top strategies? I know you mentioned a few before, but let's summarize them. What are your top strategies to stay in that healing vortex?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different modalities, and as we've talked about, like yoga and Ayurveda have been my modalities, and I think if I were to give like three top ways to crack your anxiety, for me the first one is oil massage, is the Abhyanga that I talked about. Abhyanga is a Sanskrit word, and it translates to love. Like oil is love. So you're literally like putting this oil on your body, and it's a way to ground yourself. It's a way to like nurture and love yourself. And you can put it all over your body. You can put it in your hair. I oil every day. And for me, it's non-negotiable for me to put oil on my body every day. So I think, that was my one first thing I started with. And if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, what oil? Yeah, I can't put oil on my hair or oil on my body. Maybe you just start with like some oil on your feet at night. And maybe you put a little bit of lavender essential oil with just a little sesame oil in your hand, you rub it up, rub your hands together and massage your feet, right? So you start to recognize your nervous system. The second thing for me is meditation. Sitting in silence, stop, drop, and sit. There's there's a thousand different ways.
Stop, drop, and sit. I love that. I've never heard that before.
There's a thousand, because I think sometimes meditation can feel like, maybe it can feel like a big word for a lot of folks. It was for me, because I in my head, I thought it needed to look a certain way. And what I really realized is that I needed to slow down and just be still. A movement, in our bodies, a lot of movement in our bodies can create a lot of movement in our mind. So I needed to sit. And for me, it started with 1 minute. I would start at night after I put my son to bed. That was my trigger, was like putting my son to bed. And then I would go and I would sit for 1 minute. And I did that consecutively over time, and now it's grown. And now I meditate in the morning. But that took a while. That took probably a good year. So getting on my cushion was the second big thing. And then for me, this third thing, which this one, I recognized that I needed a lot of rhythm and routines. And I started to look at my diet, and I realized that I was eating my meals at different times every day. So my third offering to folks who are listening is to practice eating your meals at the same time every day.
Huge.
And I would just add on, if you can, sit without any electronics. So we're not driving while we're eating. We're not working on a computer while we're eating. We've actually carved out time when we can sit down around the same time, maybe like 8, noon, and 6 or something like that. Around those times, you're sitting down and you're eating. And again, what I found is that helped my nervous system to ground and to recognize and to relax.
It shall not be underestimated, the last thing you're talking about. How we eat is so important. It often gets forgotten about in this whole discussion about, shall I eat organic or local or whatever. It's like this, how we eat is so crucial. And it was the same for me, the last piece about eating regular meals. That is the key to harnessing anxiety from an Ayurvedic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I think so much attention is placed on what we eat, and maybe not necessarily how we eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's been my experience. I could be eating an organic, local, superfood salad, and if I'm driving down the highway and eating this salad, I'm not receiving the nutrients that I need. I'm not pausing. I'm not taking a breath between each bite. I'm not actually receiving. I'm not nourishing. Even though my old thought pattern was like, well, it's organic, it's local, it's all these amazing greens. But there was so much movement that my body wasn't able to actually receive it. So sitting down, eating around the same time every day, I think is really key. And you know what? That's something that everybody can try. Everyone listening can try that. We all eat every day. So just next time, see, notice, first of all, you start to notice like, okay, what times a day, what am I eating during the day? What time? And then also how? And then you start to shift that a little.
And the other thing that I notice with my clients is that, especially the ones with the anxiety, since we're talking about anxiety, is that many of them are grazing. Grazing means they eat all the time. They don't have set meals. And that upsets also the mind as well. Body never has time to fully absorb all the nutrients we're putting in the body. And we're getting these short bursts of energy, but we don't get the sustained energy from, say, oil or a proper meal. And that causes all these ups and downs and the inability of the body to fully absorb the nutrients. So we got oil massage, we got meditation, and we got regular meals. I think those are awesome. But and they require also quite some commitment to make some changes, because those are big practices, aren't they? Even if we just do them for 5 minutes every day, there's going to be a lot of awareness, and goes back to the support you're talking about, being really surrounded by people who also are on that path of changing these habits and changing these seemingly little things, but they're so big. They have such a huge impact.